Thank you all for joining us today for this Mentorship Program webinar on successful meetings with your mentors. So I'm going to go ahead and let our presenters introduce themselves. Deborah, we can start with you.
Thank you, Cameron. My name is Deborah Claudy, and I'm the Supplier Diversity Manager for Kellogg Company. I've been with Kellogg Company for about 6.5 years, and we have been involved with NGLCC probably for about 5.5 years. And so we're active in the Corporate Advisory Council, and I believe this is our 4th year of participating in the mentorship program. So I really appreciate everyone joining us on the call today. I think the mentorship program is a wonderful opportunity, not only for you as business owners, but also for us as corporate participants, because we always learn a lot from participating in the program. So going to kind of be quiet and pass the baton because I know we have a lot to discuss today. But anyway, you have a lot of things you could be doing today, and we appreciate your prioritizing this call.
Thanks, Deborah. Robin, would you like to introduce yourself?
Okay, I'm Robin Pulford, Supplier Diversity Manager for American Airlines. I've been with American about 12 years. I've been in this position about 4.5. We've been with the mentorship program for the last 4 years, and each year it gets better, and it also depends on the participants, and so we appreciate your engagement as you work with your corporate mentors.
Great, thank you. And last but not least, Todd, could you introduce yourself?
Sure, happy to. I'm Todd Rice, also with American Airlines. I've been with American over 20 years. Started when I was 10 or 12, we'll say. I'm on the purchasing side. I am a manager of our purchasing center of excellence. But I work with Robin in the supplier diversity area very frequently. Also on several committees with the NGLCC. I've been active with them for years. American is a founding corporate partner. I'm been serving on the certification committee for quite a while. As well as Robin mentioned, we've done the mentorship program for the past 4 years. And I've mentored, I want to say, 6 people. We doubled up last year and this year. Have found it to be tremendous. As Deborah said, it's great on both sides. It's a great chance for you as the mentees or proteges, whatever you want to call yourself, to learn from people who honestly want to help you. But it's great for us because it gives a chance for us to meet new people, and it really is rewarding when I get to see somebody grow their business or learn something new. So I will now also shut up.
Thank you, Todd. We'll get started with the keys to success, though. So if we could have our mentors jump in with their insight on the keys to success, taking initiative and setting expectations with your mentor.
So I think we're leading off with taking the initiative, and I think this really means that this is what I would consider to be teamwork. And so you've got to be willing to team up and set realistic expectations and goals. What can we actually hope to accomplish? And I say realistic because of the fact that we all have you running businesses, we have corporate jobs, and so there are time constraints. But I think also realistically within the course of a year-long relationship, what expectations we can set. So I think what I personally would put underneath this is when I look at teamwork, I think we need to have transparency. I think we have to have the open dialogue. We have to understand each other's motivations and have like a shared goal as far as what we are going to accomplish. And we have to be very honest with our own strengths and weaknesses. When I look at, what the spreadsheet each year of what mentees are looking for in a mentor, I fully realize that 75% of those attributes or those strengths I do not possess. So, I have to be realistic about what I can really bring to this relationship and be successful. So I think when we look at the keys to success just on that 50,000-foot view, that would be my contribution.
And that's the same for American, and Todd and I experience is on the very first thing is to review what your intent to get out of the mentorship, and is it possible that we would be able to achieve those things. And we rely on the strength of the whole company to have input, or our relationships with other people to bring that value back to the mentorship program. Since we do not necessarily have all the answers or can provide you with all what you're looking for. So it's really important to set those expectations from day one and also be engaging and have open dialogue.
Yeah, and you've already taken initiative by signing up for the program, but make sure you keep that initiative going. You are the ones that are hoping to learn the most out of this. We want to help you out, but we can't do everything for you. So, there are other people that would be happy to be in the program. So take advantage of this opportunity. Be prepared. If you've set goals and commitments, if you've got a monthly call or meeting, unless something really needs to be rescheduled, hold on to that and make sure that you are meeting and trying to get the most you can out of this. I will say we've done this for 4 years. The first time we did it, it was not successful. About 2-3 months into it, the person we were working with just kind of fell off the face of the earth and stopped contacting us, didn't show up for meetings, didn't call in, and just kind of faded away. What a waste of an opportunity. You've been given this great opportunity. Take advantage of it. We want to help you out, and I think we've seen through this great program that a lot of businesses can be helped. So keep that initiative going.
And I think if we look at our next slide, we're really getting kind of into the meat of this, which is sharing your business plan. And I'm going to be very honest with you. I realize that not all of you have created business plans. I've had excellent, business partners who have said, my business plan is in my mind. I'm very organized. We appreciate that, but in all honesty, if you're seeking to do business with corporations, corporate America, there are certain expectations that our procurement teams or our quality teams or our facilities teams have. And this is part of the reason why corporations are very comfortable doing business with each other, because we kind of know the secret handshake and the secret language. And part of what we're doing on this call today is trying to share some of that with you. Business planning is part of that. It's just an expectation in today's world. If you do not currently have a business plan, that can be part of the goal, part of the programming for the mentor-menteeship role. But it's also, just an aside, available through organizations such as the SBDC, the Small Business Development Centers, which are free. You, as a federal taxpayer, you're already financing that. And they are across the nation regionally, usually located within colleges and universities. They have small business counselors that do nothing all day long but help you develop business plans. So, take advantage of that by all means and start to get yourself organized. Someone once told me, and I thought this was a very good example, that getting your certification was an excellent opportunity to kind of get those boxes out from under your desk and blow the dust off of them, because you have to put together, some information in order to get certified. Well, as long as you've got that momentum going, carry that right in and use that same information to create a business plan, because it is vitally important and it's something that you will be asked for.
And that's one of the things we do when we evaluate a supplier to do business with. We look at the risk. And so you have to be able to have the history of your company. You have to have the financial stability. You have to show what your plans are going forward. And those are things that we'll be asking for. So you might as well become prepared. And those have value as far as risk evaluation when we decide to do business with a supplier.
Deborah, did you say that Small Business Development Center?
Yes, it used to be SBTDC. It used to be Small Business Technology Development Center, and the federal government in the past 18 months dropped the T. That's you can Google it. It's through the SBA, and as I say, it's in all 50 states. It's in nearly all cities. I mean, here in West Michigan, I think we have 2 of them just in our region. And so, that's exactly what they're geared for. If you Google it, it'll take you to a regional or a landing page that will have all your regional contacts. And you'll actually get a small business counselor that can work with you for a year or even 2, depending upon what your needs are.
Oh, that's great. Thank you for the tidbit.
And then another one of the important initial steps is to set your goals. What do you hope to achieve out of this? I know with our initial call, that's always one of the things we go over with our folks, because we want to make sure that we're helping you to make the most of this time. We're busy, you're busy. Let's make this thing work. What do you want to get out of this? And again, like Deborah said, just getting certified, it forces you to kind of look at your business. When you have to sit down and set some goals, whether it's 3 goals, 5 goals, or these short-term goals, long-term, it makes you look at your business and what you're doing, which I think as generally small business owners and sometimes even a one-person shop, you sometimes get overwhelmed, and this really is a good opportunity to sit back down and just go, what do I want to do? What are my next steps? Where do I want to end up, and how can I get there? I think it's a great exercise to go through, and it also gives us, as your mentors, some guidance as to how we can certainly help you achieve those goals.
Great. So now we'll talk about before the meeting. So Deborah, Robin, and Todd, could you share a little bit more about what LGBTBE should do before their meeting with their mentor?
I think the best success for any meeting is being prepared, and part of that preparedness could be putting an agenda together of the topics that need to be covered, things that want to be discussed, and then, as you develop your plan, it develops every time that you have a call is to see what has been accomplished, where did it go to a different direction, and add to it. But having an agenda every time that you have a meeting helps to stay on track and allows for you to, ahead of time, send that a little bit before the meeting. So if there is information we need to gather or investigate for the topic of the meeting, we're well prepared so we get the best use of time. So I think having an agenda is good, and putting some thought through the meeting helps.
Yeah, I would agree with Robin there. If she and I tend to meet monthly with our people, and if they're here locally, then we can do a face-to-face meeting. If not, they're on the phone. But if you've got only an hour, it seems like it might be a lot of time, but once you get through your agenda and we get updates on where you're going and we just start talking, that'll be done before you know it. So an agenda really is a great way to keep everybody on track, make the best use of your time. At the end of the call, we all have follow-up items, our homework, if you will. So when we get back together, then we can make sure that we've done that and that we're moving forward and meeting those goals and the expectations that we set earlier on.
In addition to, creating an agenda, including your topics, your questions, and your updates, is to, as small business owners, you don't have boards. You don't have boards to offer insight, direction, or to act as sounding boards. And so I think that the mentor-mentee role can also help you with that. We're not your family. We're not your partner. We're not your best friends. We're not in any kind of personal relationship with you. So if you have some unique question or challenge, this is an opportunity to bring that forward as well. And because everything remains, to be honest, confidential, it's a good opportunity to say, hey, I found myself in this situation, never been in this before, not sure what to think. Or that would just be one example. But I think that's the only other thing that I would bring up is, to kind of think about before the meeting, is there anything that I'm finding a challenge with right now that I might want a sounding board for?
Yeah, I could not agree more, Deborah. That's an excellent point. Again, most of you are small business owners. You might be a sole proprietor. You're the only person that's running your business. You don't have those unbiased people that you can talk to. That's why we're here. Run ideas past us. We use us as sounding boards. We're happy to, some of us more than others, happy to give our opinions.
So speaking of the call, we'll move on to our next topic of discussion, which is what should you talk about in your mentorship meetings? We touched on it a little bit with being a sounding board for ideas, but could you all share with us some more insights on what you can talk about in those meetings?
Sure. We've done quite a few different things, everything from talking about industry insights, which may be a better place for some business owners to connect with and to do that networking opportunity. We have, like I said, sounding board for a person who is in a small environment. We talked about trade shows, about other avenues to think about to expand their exposure to the audience. We've looked at people's websites, compared competitor websites to their websites. We've looked at their presentations and given input on presentations and worked on elevator speech. And so we kind of touched them all in the 4.5 years that we've been doing this. But these are things that we definitely can give you an insight of being the person on the other side and how that information is, perceived and how we evaluate suppliers and what we look for. So it's a great opportunity to take each one of these topics and really just talk about them if you are wanting to look at those areas of improvement or interchange.
I think from my perspective, this is a pretty comprehensive list. There's a couple of additional things that over the course of the years I might add to it. One was a capability statement for service providers, because often capability statements are really geared towards people who provide products, and they're very detail-oriented, fact-driven, with bullet points, and so it's maybe a little bit different skill set putting together a capability statement for someone who provides services. And just to clarify, the capability statement really comes into effect on things like when we meet with our government procurement people, because within the world of government, they'll automatically say, do you have a capability statement for me? And so it's a different, for people who haven't historically maybe worked in the world of government, they don't necessarily have that capability statement, which by definition, is just like a one-page synopsis. It would be part of your marketing portfolio. The other thing that I've looked at in the past is really kind of responding to RFQs or, what contracts might look like. And I'm no expert in that. I rely upon, my small business partner to be the expert in there. But that doesn't mean that I can't be a second set of eyes looking at something. And again, I'm not an attorney, but sometimes, again, when you're a service provider, you're not necessarily used to some of these firm contracts. And so that would be another example of something that I could certainly read through and offer an opinion or maybe ask questions. I think that's the better way. I don't necessarily have a legal opinion, but I can ask questions and say, well, why would it state this, or how would you respond to that? And so those are a couple of other areas that might be on the agenda.
Yeah, and speaking of the RFPs, I think that's another great point, Deborah. I've been in purchasing for way too many years. Have issued a lot of RFPs, have been able to, honestly respond to people through this program how to respond to RFPs. What do companies want to see? What do they need to see? If your mentor is not in purchasing, doesn't have procurement experience, I'm sure they would be happy to take advantage of their relationship with the purchasing people or whomever at their company sends out bids. Just having that assistance and that insight for you, I think, can be tremendous. If you're responding to RFPs and you're not getting the business, maybe we can take a look at your responses and offer some opinions as to maybe why not. Are you providing the information that was asked for in the format that they wanted it? I've seen people not get business just because, we said, send me your quote in an Excel spreadsheet. Somebody didn't do that. I'm not even going to consider them. So something as simple as that we might be able to help you out with as well. But those things are, again, take advantage of the knowledge that your connection, that your mentor has.
Absolutely. Thank you all for your insight. So we'll move on to how you should go about the meeting once you're in the meeting. So could you all share some insights on what to do during the meeting?
I think respecting each other's time is important. So definitely, I think, looking at the clock, identifying where you are in, covering the agendas and things like that is important to make sure that you get through, and also give them time to wrap into a summary of what you have covered and what are the action items going forward is important. I think that we always try to set the next meeting before we get off the phone, so everybody's looking at their calendars. And we know that everybody, it can change, so people need to be flexible if it does change. But it works for us because our schedules get so filled up so quickly, and to get us on the phone. We find phone more accessible to people because we could be traveling and still meet the meeting versus try to do an in-person meeting. But in-person meetings does help when we're trying to connect them with maybe the expertise in our company. We've done one via phone and we have done one in person, and it seemed to work both times. But it's really the involvement.
And I guess I would just build upon, I agree completely, about setting times in advance and things. I think the communications, if you're running late, let us know. Oftentimes I'm running late because we're all, running from meeting to meeting or call to call. But I think it's just that's that relationship building, that 101, right? And then the prep time, because probably every one of us on this call has had some experience in being in a meeting with a person who's just, for whatever reason, not prepared. And so I think, the preparation of, just refreshing yourself mentally on what did we talk about the last time, what did I agree to bring to the next meeting, and just kind of getting yourself aligned, kind of that deep breath, like serenity now for the next hour or two. This is what I'm going to be focused on regardless of what else is going on. So, and that's just, that's really hard for all of us. I mean, that's not, something that's directed towards business owners as much as it is, when we get on a call, how do we make the wisest use of our time?
Yeah, and I think Robin mentioned action items. I think one thing that for any meeting you're going to be in, including these types of calls or meetings, at the end of the meeting, do a recap. What are the action items for the next meeting? Who is going to follow up with each of these items so that it's clear that we have an expectation of what we're going to speak to at the next call or meeting, and who has that homework and the go-do.
Great. So what would you all suggest that our mentees should do after the meeting?
Well, I'd like to build on the network. I feel that this relationship is an excellent opportunity to grow your network and to meet additional people. Feel free to reach out to your mentor at regional or national events. Is there, in addition to just the formal meetings that the NGLCC schedules, is there an opportunity for coffee, or can we have breakfast before the day begins, or, all of those touch points that, again, help us better understand not only what your capabilities are so that we can represent you better or, assist you, but also just, sometimes the best networking comes about in more casual environments. And I think the other thing is that it can sometimes carry on. I can tell you, and, all politics aside, I was in touch with pretty much all of my previous year's mentees in regards to, say, the Women's March. It's just a touch point. Are you marching? Where are you marching? Send me a photo sort of thing. And it's just that team building, right? Because once you have that mentor-mentee relationship, that's a lifelong team that you're forming. And so you've got to kind of visualize what a successful team looks like and how you want to participate in it. So kind of, be the change that you want to see, to paraphrase Gandhi.
Well, I think the network, all the mentors on this program are open for other mentees to contact them. We have one who just contacted me and Todd to just review one of their capabilities list, and we'll be happy to squeeze that in and look at it. So, we're here for others. It's just taking on a full-time mentor every month is a little difficult. We already have two right now, but it's not that we would not be open to help somebody else in the program. So we're here to help everybody, but we just don't have all the dedicated time to do that.
Yeah, but and we also have connections at NGLCC that maybe you don't know with some of the other corporations. If we know, for example, that you're looking to do business, you want to grow your business within, let's say, the hotel industry. Well, I can put you in touch with somebody from Marriott, with somebody from Hilton that I know through NGLCC. I can at least reach out to them and see if they would be willing to speak to you. If you're, and I'm going to say this. I think it might have been up on one of the other slides. I don't look at this relationship with our mentee as a way for you to get business with my company. And if the reason you've gotten into this is just to give me a sales pitch, then I think you're woefully wrong and missing out on a great opportunity. If something should happen, great. But we are happy to put you in touch with the people in our company who can tell you how to do business with American Airlines or Kellogg. But not for a sales pitch necessarily. We had a call with one of our current mentees last month, or earlier this month actually, put him in touch with someone in our corporate real estate department who has much more knowledge than Robin or I do about what his product and services are. And he had a set of questions to ask this person, and they were things such as, what do you like to see when someone comes in to give you a pitch? How do you determine what makes one supplier better than another? Do I deal with you directly, or do I go through a contractor? How do you buy this? Is that how other airlines do this? Do you think that's how other large corporations do this? So he took advantage of getting business knowledge and industry knowledge because we were able to put him in touch with a person who does make those decisions. Down the road, if that turns into him being asked to submit an RFP response, yeah, hey, great, that might work out. But now if he does get an RFP from Delta or United or one of those other whose names should not be named, then he hopefully has a better idea now of what they're looking for and what will set him apart. And we've done that with other mentees. Happy to do it. Those are our networks. And I think we found that those people are happy to do it too. They wouldn't be willing to take the call with you or set up the meeting with you if they weren't interested in sharing their knowledge. So don't be afraid to ask for that, and again, take advantage of everything that we're trying to offer.
So overall, what would you say are the best practices for creating a successful meeting and a successful relationship through the mentorship program?
I think it's really spelled out right there on the slide very well. Take advantage of the opportunity, do an agenda, set goals, do a business plan, initiate the next steps, and really truly engage with your opportunity with your mentor.
And I think my closing would be kind of getting out of your comfort zone, because this is really a growth opportunity, so you need to expand your horizons. Again, anyone who signs up for the program, I'm sure that you all want to do that, and it's just taking those steps to do it, right? So the first step is signing up for the program. The second step is taking advantage of the program. And then the third step is kind of, what do you do with those learnings? What are the, how do you achieve that goal after you finish up with the program?
And I know we've talked a lot about taking initiative throughout this call. So what would you say should be the responsibility that's placed on the mentee to take initiative in driving a relationship forward? And how have you seen relationships be more successful when the LGBTE takes that initiative versus those in which maybe the mentee just sits back and waits to hear from you?
Yeah, I'll jump in on that one. We've spoken about an agenda. We've spoken about regular meetings. We will set up the time, but then we want you to set up the agenda. This is your business. What do you want to get out of this program? That's what we can help you with, but you're the one who's going to have to drive that. So you should be setting the agenda, the itinerary, the tasks that you want to discuss, and we will assist with that and follow up and make sure we've done our homework that we all agreed upon. But I think the way for you to get the most out of it is to set the agenda and the expectations that you want. I mean, it's your business. You're the one who is trying to improve your business, to whether that's to grow, to make money, whatever your goals are. And I don't know what's inside your head unless you tell me. So you've got to get that out there and let me help you. So you need to take the initiative and kind of drive things. I've got another job to do. I generally probably am not going to sleep at night worried about your business, how you're going to make payroll, if you're going to get that next sale. Once we have the relationship, I want you to do well, but it's not my main thing in my life like it probably is for you. So you're the one who kind of needs to take the bull by the horns and make sure that you are taking advantage of this and getting the most out of the opportunity.
This is Deborah, and I would agree with what Todd said. I think every one of the mentor and mentee relationships that I've had has taken a different shape because each individual came into it with different expectations. So I follow the lead of the person that I'm partnered with for that year. I don't try to set the direction or come in as an all-knowing or all-wise person because I'm certainly not that. I'm here to support you in what you believe to be your priorities.
Great. Thank you for sharing those insights. And I think we do have a few questions from some of the people on the call. If anyone else has any questions, please feel free to send them in the chat box so that I can make sure to ask our mentors for their insight. The first one comes from Sam Lehman. He's asking, how often should you check in with your mentor? Should it be weekly or monthly? What have you seen as kind of the best practice there?
Monthly works well unless there's something that's come up that needs to talk about in between. But I think a monthly is enough time to get updated and give you time to get those action items done between calls. So that you can run your business and grow and do this other research or the other things that are requested.
And I would say from my perspective, we normally have monthly calls set up, but obviously we have communications in between. If one person has to change the meeting time or something like that, it allows for additional touch points. But I think minimum of monthly. But, if it works well for your relationship to do weekly or even, twice a month, then I would say do it. I don't think there's any hard and fast rules. It really depends upon, again, setting those mutually agreed upon realistic goals right from the beginning.
Yeah, and again, as both Deborah and Robin have mentioned, if something does come up between meetings, I've got no problem with you giving me a call or reaching out, or if if I know you've got a big bid response that's due, shoot me an email, give me a call, let me know how that went for you. If you're waiting to get business or something, or if you're hiring somebody new and we've been talking about what you're looking for and we know you're ready to make that offer. I want to know how that turns out. Shoot me an email and say, they accepted the offer. They're going to work for me. They bring this expertise. We're really excited about it. So happy to stay in touch other than the regularly scheduled calls. So if hopefully you have a relationship like that, if not, you might want to look for another mentor. But I think on for the most part, we're happy to help you whenever you want.
Thank you. And then Jane asked, how do you respond to companies that are small when deciding if you're going to do business with them?
As the purchasing guy, I'll jump in here, and ladies, I know you've got a lot of experience as well, so feel free to expand on what I'm saying. If you can show me that you can meet the requirements of what I'm looking for, then I don't consider if you're a small business and you can prove to me that you're going to be able to provide the quantity of the product that I need or the amount of people to provide the service that I need, if you've spelled that out in your bid response and we've discussed it with you, great. That should not count against you. Sometimes that'll help because it's helping you keep your overhead down because you're not a huge company. If I do have questions about it, maybe you can tell me that you're going to partner with another company to do this portion of the business, and that's another thing that I think LGBTBEs network with the other LGBTBEs at the NGLCC and see if you can partner up on some bids. Maybe they've got expertise in one field and you've got it in this, but you could use it in that. If you can go in together and respond to a bid and still give me the cost, quality, service delivery that I'm looking for, meet my needs, if that's going to help you expand your business without necessarily growing, something else to consider. Yeah, if you've shown me that you can meet the requirements of the bid, then I should be able to award you that business, regardless of size.
And I think Todd said it really well. I don't have much more to add, but I would say that within Kellogg Company, we have some global bids, and it's usually things like nutrition or vitamin supplements, because if you think about it, a lot of those big flavor houses and things came out of Europe, and that's still where they're based. We have bids that are for all of North America, and that might be for things like rice, because, we might use the same rice supplier in Canada as the States. Why not? We have things that are more regional, because things like packaging you don't send packaging cross-country. It's just not cost-effective. So packaging bids are going to be more regional. And then we're always going to have local bids, because every one of our facilities is like a small town. We're 24/7. We have people in those facilities, their quality of life, everything from the air filters, the air they breathe, the water they drink, their food, their safety equipment, the types of training they use, our temp labor services, the machinery, and all the, ingredients that go into it. I mean, if we need snow removed in the middle of the night, it needs to be removed. If we need roofing done, it's probably going to be on a more regional basis. So there are always going to be contracts that are of different sizes or that are very specific. For instance, individual facilities or sales offices might want a specific type of training, and they are empowered to do that training on a regional basis and find their own supplier. So I also have, anecdotally, we went out for a temp labor quote a couple of years ago, and I had asked our HR team, is there a minimum size for the company, what success would look like? And they said, no, not really. We're flexible. So I looked through the NGLCC database, the National Minority, the Women's Business Council databases, and there are a lot of people in that space. And so I sent them a list that contained 70 companies. And again, I didn't have a lot of guidelines to go with, but I will tell you, when they came down to the top four contenders, 2 of the 4 were diverse suppliers. And the business actually ended up going to a minority-owned business that maybe in the past would not have been considered someone that would do the entire United States. But the content that was, to Todd's point, included in that information is what made our team sit up and listen and say, this is someone we can work with, even though they might not have the national experience. This is someone we can grow with and that is aligned with our corporate values. And, so we actually have a diverse supplier in that space, and the contract has subsequently been renewed. So hopefully that helps you get a perspective that there's always opportunity.
Yeah, and you don't have to bid for Deborah's global bid. Know what your capabilities are. They do have regional bids. We do have smaller things. One of the worst things that you can do in the eyes of a purchasing person is to bid for something that's over your head. We give you the business and you can't do it. That's really going to leave a bad taste in my mouth when that next bid comes up. If it is too large for you, get back to me, say thank you for the opportunity. I don't have the capabilities for that at this time. Here's what I could do. Definitely keep me in mind and stay in touch. And then instead of that global bid when it pops up, if I do have a bid for, an airport, a single airport, a service at an airport, or a something that's going on at one location, or a smaller regional instead of a national or global. you will have kept in touch, and I'll know that is within your wheelhouse, and we'll give you an opportunity to succeed with that. So know what you can do and bid on what you can do.
All right. Well, thank you all so much for joining us for this call today. I hope that you gained some valuable insight going into the second half of your mentorship relationship with the NGLCC's Mentor Program so you can have successful meetings with your mentor. And thank you for joining us.